The signal. The quantum detection array at Luna Base Station hadn't registered anything unusual in its 15 years of operation. That changed on a quiet Tuesday in October 2157, when Dr. Sarah Chen's morning coffee nearly slipped from her fingers. The readings on her holographic display pulsed with a pattern she'd never seen before, structured quantum fluctuations that defied natural occurrence. "Director Matthews," she called out, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "I think you need to see this." The station's director, a veteran of Earth's space program with silver-streaked hair, crossed the monitoring room in long strides. His eyes widened as he took in the data streaming across the display. The quantum signatures showed signs of artificial manipulation far beyond humanity's current capabilities. "How long has this been active?" Matthews asked, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of the holographic readouts. "First detected 17 minutes ago. It's not just random quantum noise. There's a clear pattern, almost like—" Sarah hesitated, knowing how it would sound. "Like a heartbeat, but it's dying." The signal's amplitude was decreasing steadily, each pulse weaker than the last. Sarah had spent her career studying quantum communications theory, believing that advanced civilizations would likely use quantum entanglement for faster-than-light communication. Now, staring at the proof of her theories, she felt both vindicated and terrified. Matthews activated the station's secure channel to Earth Defense Command. "This is Director Matthews at Luna Base. We have a Priority 1 first contact scenario. I repeat, Priority 1 first contact." Within minutes, the monitoring room filled with additional personnel. Among them was Dr. Raj Patel, Earth's leading xenolinguist, who had been stationed at Luna Base specifically for this possibility. He immediately began analyzing the pattern structure of the quantum pulses. "It's definitely a language," Raj confirmed after 30 minutes of intensive study. "The quantum states aren't random. They're organized in repeating clusters. But more importantly, they're degrading in a way that suggests urgent need. This isn't just first contact, it's a distress call." The implications hit everyone in the room simultaneously. Humanity's first contact with an alien civilization would be through their equivalent of an SOS signal. The question now was, what would Earth do about it? The answer came within the hour. The newly commissioned Earth vessel, Silent Guardian, received emergency deployment orders. Originally designed as a deep space research vessel, the Guardian had been built with first contact protocols in mind. Its crew was handpicked, scientists, diplomats, and military personnel trained for this exact scenario. Captain Maya Rodriguez stood on the Guardian's bridge, reviewing the quantum signal data transmitted from Luna Base. Her ship represented the best of human engineering, a hybrid of traditional propulsion systems and experimental quantum technology. The vessel's unique design allowed it to detect and potentially respond to quantum communications, thanks to Dr. Chen's groundbreaking research. "Dr. Chen will be joining us for this mission," Rodriguez announced to her bridge crew. "Her expertise with quantum communications makes her essential. We launch in 40 minutes. As the crew prepared for departure, Sarah was shuttled from Luna Base to the Guardian's docking bay. The ship itself was a marvel, nearly a kilometer long, with smooth lines that reminded her of Earth's marine creatures. Its hull incorporated metamaterials that could alter their properties in response to different space phenomena, another example of humanity adapting nature's solutions to cosmic challenges. "Welcome aboard, Dr. Chen," Captain Rodriguez greeted her as she arrived on the bridge. "I hope you're ready to make history." Sarah managed a small smile as she took her station at the quantum communications array. "I'm more concerned with saving lives, Captain. That signal is getting weaker by the minute." The Guardian's engines hummed to life, a deep resonance that seemed to echo the mysterious quantum pulses they were chasing. As they prepared to leave Earth's orbit, Sarah couldn't help but think about the responsibility resting on their shoulders. Humanity's first interaction with an alien civilization would set the tone for all future relations. The fact that it involved responding to a distress call seemed somehow appropriate. Humans had always been at their best when helping others. Quantum signal locked and tracking, Sarah reported as the Guardian accelerated away from Earth. The source appears to be near the Kuiper Belt, approximately 40 astronomical units out. That's the edge of our solar system, Rodriguez noted. Perhaps not a coincidence. Helm, set course for the signal source. Engineering, prepare for quantum wake analysis. We might learn something about their propulsion systems from any residual signatures. As the Guardian embarked on its historic mission, the crew felt the weight of what they represented. They weren't just an exploration vessel or a rescue ship. They were humanity's first ambassadors to the stars. Whatever they found at the source of that signal would change human history forever. The journey to the signal's location would take several hours, even with the Guardian's advanced propulsion systems. Sarah used this time to refine her analysis of the quantum pulses. The pattern was becoming clearer. It wasn't just a simple distress beacon. There was complexity in the signal that suggested a rich language, perhaps even a different way of perceiving reality itself. "Captain," Sarah called out after several hours of study, "I believe I've identified something crucial in the signal structure. These quantum states, they're not just carrying information. They're carrying emotional content." Rodriguez moved to Sarah's station, studying the complex waveforms. Emotional content. How is that possible? The quantum states are entangled in ways that mirror neural patterns, Sarah explained. It's as if they found a way to transmit consciousness itself through quantum mechanics. And right now, that consciousness is experiencing severe distress. The implications were staggering. They weren't just heading toward a damaged ship or a failed expedition. They were racing to help beings who had mastered the quantum nature of consciousness itself. Humanity's first contact would be with a civilization that might view reality in fundamentally different ways. As the Guardian approached the signal source, the crew prepared for any possibility. They had trained for this, but nothing could truly prepare them for what they might find. The only certainty was their mission: to help those in need, regardless of their origin or nature. The quantum pulses grew stronger as they closed in on their target. Whatever they were about to discover, one thing was clear: humanity's age of isolation was about to end, not with a declaration of war or a diplomatic ceremony, but with an act of rescue and compassion. Sarah watched the quantum readings pulse across her screen, each beat growing more distinct. In those complex patterns of entangled quantum states, she could almost feel the presence of something vast and alien, reaching out across the void of space with a single, universal message: help us. First contact. The silent Guardian dropped out of its high-speed trajectory as it approached the coordinates of the quantum signal. The bridge crew fell silent, their eyes fixed on the main viewport. Against the backdrop of distant stars, they saw it, a vessel unlike anything human minds had conceived. The alien ship resembled a collection of crystalline structures, interconnected by streams of what appeared to be pure light. Its surface rippled with colors that shouldn't have been possible in the vacuum of space, creating patterns that seemed to respond to the Guardian's presence. "Multiple hull breaches detected," reported Lieutenant James Morrison from Tactical. "Their structural integrity is failing. Those crystals, they're fracturing." Captain Rodriguez leaned forward in her chair. "Life signs." "Difficult to determine, Captain," Morrison replied. "Our conventional scanners can't make sense of their biology, if they even have what we consider biology." Sarah's quantum communications array suddenly lit up with new activity. "Captain, they're responding to our presence. The quantum signatures are changing, becoming more organized." The crystalline vessel's surface erupted in a spectacular display of light and color. Patterns cascaded across its structure, forming and reforming in complex sequences. Dr. Patel, who had been quietly observing, suddenly straightened in his chair. "It's a language," he breathed. "They're communicating through modulated light patterns, but encoding it in quantum states for faster-than-light transmission." "Brilliant." Sarah worked frantically at her console, adjusting the Guardian's quantum sensors to better receive and interpret the signals. The emotional content is stronger now. There's fear, but also hope. Captain Rodriguez made her decision. Dr. Chen, can we respond using our quantum array? We can try. I can modulate our array to emit structured light patterns similar to theirs, though much more primitive. Do it. Send them basic mathematical sequences first. Establish a foundation for communication. As Sarah began transmitting, the alien vessel's light display changed dramatically. The colors shifted to blues and greens, pulsing in rhythm with the Guardian's transmissions. Dr. Patel worked alongside Sarah, helping to interpret the returning patterns. They call themselves the Vinari, Patel announced after several minutes of exchange. Their species exists as, well, the closest translation would be organized light consciousness contained within crystalline matrices. The bridge crew tried to process this information. They weren't dealing with biological entities in any conventional sense, but rather beings of pure energy and light who used crystal structures as their physical forms. They're saying their ship was attacked, Sarah added, her fingers dancing across her console as she interpreted the quantum patterns. Something massive, something that hunts in the void. They barely escaped, but the attack damaged their crystalline structure. Without it, they can't maintain their coherence. Rodriguez stood, her decision made. Tell them we're here to help. Morrison, prepare emergency repair teams. Dr. Chen, work with engineering to see if we can stabilize their quantum matrix. As the Guardian moved closer to the Vinari vessel, new signals appeared on their long-range sensors. Dark shapes moved against the starfield, barely visible but undeniably present. Morrison's tactical display lit up with warnings. Captain, multiple contacts approaching. They're unlike anything in our database. Massive energy signatures, but almost no physical mass. They're absorbing all light around them. The Vinari's transmission became urgent, their light patterns flashing in rapid sequences of red and purple. Sarah's face paled as she interpreted the message. They're called Void Hunters, she reported. The Vinari say they're ancient predators that feed on energy itself. They're drawn to advanced civilizations, particularly those that use quantum technologies. They don't just destroy ships, they consume the energy of entire species. Rodriguez surveyed the tactical display, watching as the dark shapes moved closer, their very presence seeming to dim the stars around them. The Guardian was now the only thing standing between these cosmic predators and their wounded prey. How many ships have they destroyed? Rodriguez asked. Not ships, Captain, Sarah corrected, her voice quiet. Civilizations. The Vinari say they're the last survivors of their colony. The Void Hunters have already consumed their homeworld. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity's first contact wouldn't just be a rescue mission. It would be a fight for survival against an enemy that had already destroyed entire civilizations. Well, Rodriguez said, her voice firm, they haven't met humans yet. Morrison, bring all weapons online. Dr. Chen, work with the Vinari. See if we can adapt their quantum technology to our defense systems. If these Void Hunters want to add Earth to their hunting grounds, they'll learn why humans are classified as apex predators on our world. As the crew rushed to prepare for battle, Sarah continued her quantum exchange with the Vinari. The alien being's light patterns had changed, showing what she interpreted as confusion and curiosity. They couldn't understand why this primitive species, barely able to manipulate quantum states, would willingly stand against the greatest predators known to their kind. They were about to learn what every threat to humanity had discovered throughout history, that humans were at their most dangerous when protecting others, and that technological advancement wasn't always the decisive factor in survival. The Void Hunters drew closer, their presence creating an unnatural darkness that seemed to defy the laws of physics. The Guardian's crew worked frantically to prepare for an enemy they barely understood, while the Vinari watched in fascination as these strange biological beings demonstrated a courage that defied logic. The hunt. Dr. Sarah Chen had spent years studying Earth's marine biology as a hobby, particularly fascinated by how whales communicated across vast oceanic distances. Now, staring at the tactical display showing the approaching void hunters, something clicked in her mind. "Captain," she called out, "I think I know why they're moving like that. Look at their formation. It's almost identical to how orcas herd their prey." Rodriguez moved to Sarah's station, studying the display. The dark shapes of the void hunters were indeed moving in a familiar pattern, gradually forcing the Guardian and the Venari vessel toward a specific region of space. "They're not just attacking randomly," Sarah continued. "They're behaving like Earth's apex marine predators. They're using coordinated hunting strategies." Lieutenant Morrison's tactical console suddenly lit up with new warnings. "Captain, detecting massive gravitational disturbances ahead. They're driving us towards some kind of spatial anomaly." "Just like orcas dragging fish into a corner," Rodriguez muttered. She straightened, her eyes bright with realization. "If they hunt like Earth's predators, maybe they have similar limitations. Dr. Chen, what else do you know about marine predator behavior?" Sarah's mind raced through years of documentary footage and research papers. Predators rely heavily on their sensory advantages. In the ocean, it's usually sound or electromagnetic detection. These void hunters seem to track energy signatures, particularly quantum emissions. The Venari vessel pulsed with urgent light patterns. Dr. Patel translated quickly. "They say the hunters are drawn to complex energy patterns. Their civilization's quantum technology made them perfect targets." Rodriguez smiled grimly. "Then let's give them something different to chase. Morrison, power down all quantum systems except for essential communications. Dr. Chen, work with engineering. If these things hunt by sensing energy, let's see how they handle something they've never encountered before." The next hour was a flurry of activity. The Guardian's engineering team, led by Chief Engineer Helen Wong, worked to modify the ship's systems based on Sarah's insights into marine predator behavior. They'd rigged the ship's standard communications array to emit specific frequencies, inspired by the songs of Earth's whales. "Think of it like acoustic camouflage," Sarah explained to the bridge crew. "Whales use different frequencies for different purposes, some to communicate, others to disorient prey. If the void hunters track energy patterns, we might be able to confuse their hunting abilities." The Venari watched with growing interest as the humans rapidly adapted their technology. Their light patterns showed what Dr. Patel interpreted as a mixture of confusion and admiration. No species they had encountered had ever thought to study natural predators as a way to combat the hunters. "Ready to initiate Operation Deep Sound," Morrison reported. The name had started as a joke but stuck. It felt appropriate for a strategy based on marine biology. Rodriguez nodded. "Begin transmission." The Guardian began broadcasting a complex pattern of energy waves, modulated to mimic the structure of whale songs, but translated into quantum frequencies. The effect on the void hunters was immediate. The dark shapes faltered in their coordinated movement, their perfect hunting formation showing signs of confusion. "It's working," Sarah exclaimed. "Their energy signatures are fluctuating. They're losing their ability to coordinate." But the victory was short-lived. One of the larger void hunters suddenly changed its behavior, emitting a pulse of darkness that seemed to consume light itself. The other hunters quickly regained their formation, adapting to the Guardian's broadcast. "They're learning," Morrison warned, "reconfiguring their hunting pattern. These things are intelligent." Rodriguez leaned forward in her chair. "Of course they are. You don't survive as an apex predator without being able to adapt." "Dr. Chen, what else do we know about predator behavior?" Sarah was already typing furiously at her console, analyzing the hunter's response. "In nature, when one strategy fails, predators often—" She paused, her eyes widening. "Captain, they're not just coordinating their hunt. They're communicating. Just like our whales, they're using these energy pulses to share information." The Venari's light patterns became more urgent. Through their quantum exchange, they confirmed Sarah's theory. The void hunters were a collective intelligence, sharing experiences and adapting as a group. Each encounter made them more dangerous, more capable of countering new defensive strategies. Then we need to disrupt that communication, Rodriguez decided. Mr. Morrison, prepare to modify our broadcast. Dr. Chen, help him match the frequencies to interfere with their energy pulses. If we can't outfight them, we'll break their ability to coordinate. As the crew worked to implement the new strategy, Sarah noticed something odd in the quantum readings. The Void Hunter's energy patterns weren't just communication signals. They contained complex quantum states similar to the Venari's consciousness. Captain, she said slowly, I don't think these are just predators. The quantum complexity in their signals, I think they might be failed attempts at transcendence. What do you mean? The Venari exist as organized light and energy. What if the Void Hunters are the remains of species that try to achieve the same state but couldn't maintain coherence? They don't just hunt energy. They're trying to consume what they couldn't achieve themselves. The implications were staggering. They weren't just fighting space predators. They were facing the bitter remnants of civilizations that had reached too far and fallen into a dark parody of their aspirations. Rodriguez absorbed this information, her expression hardening with determination. Then we'll show them a different path. Humanity hasn't tried to transcend our physical form. We've learned to work with what we have, to adapt and overcome through understanding rather than transformation. The Guardian continued its desperate maneuvers, now broadcasting modified signals designed to disrupt the Hunters' collective consciousness. But even as they fought, Sarah couldn't help but wonder if they were seeing a possible future for humanity, a warning about the dangers of pursuing advancement without understanding the cost. The real test wasn't just survival anymore. It was proving that a species could face the darkness of space without losing its fundamental nature. That true advancement came not from transforming what you are, but from understanding and accepting your place in the cosmic order. As the Void Hunters regrouped for another attack, the crew of the Guardian prepared to demonstrate this truth in the most human way possible, by protecting others while remaining true to themselves. The trap. The gravitational anomaly loomed before them, a region of space where light itself seemed to twist and distort. The silent Guardian and the damaged Venari vessel had been steadily pushed toward this trap, despite their best efforts to break free of the Void Hunter's herding pattern. Full analysis of the anomaly, Captain Rodriguez demanded, her voice steady despite the tension visible in her posture. Chief Engineer Wang's response came through the comm system. It's artificial, Captain. The Hunters didn't just find this trap. They made it. They're manipulating quantum fields to create a space where energy can't escape, like a cosmic net. Sarah studied her readings with growing concern. The Void Hunters had positioned themselves in a perfect circle around their prey, their dark forms creating what looked like a ring of living shadows. The quantum disruption signals that had previously confused them were now having minimal effect. They had adapted. They're not just learning our tactics, Sarah realized. They're learning about us. Each time we try something new, they gain more understanding of how humans think and react. The Venari vessel pulsed with desperate light patterns. Dr. Patel translated quickly. They say this is how their homeworld fell. The Hunters studied them, learned their patterns, then created a trap specifically designed to neutralize their quantum technology. Rodriguez absorbed this information, her mind racing through options. They couldn't outrun the Hunters, couldn't outfight them. And now their attempts to outsmart them were being turned against them. It was the kind of impossible situation that humanity had faced countless times throughout its history. Dr. Chen, Rodriguez said suddenly, you said the Hunters are failed attempts at transcendence, that they're trying to consume what they couldn't achieve. What if we could show them what they've become? Sarah's eyes widened as she understood. Use the Venari's quantum consciousness technology to make them self-aware. Captain, that's incredibly risky. We barely understand how their quantum consciousness works. But we understand something more fundamental, Rodriguez insisted. We understand what it means to face our own nature. Humanity has always been forced to confront what we are, our limitations, our failures, our potential for both creation and destruction. The Guardians shuddered as another gravitational wave from the trap washed over them. They had minutes at most before they would be drawn in completely. Engineering, Rodriguez called out, I need you to modify our quantum array. Instead of trying to disrupt the Hunter's communication, we're going to amplify it. Dr. Chen, work with the Vinari. We need to show the Hunters their own quantum signature. Let them see what they've become. The next few minutes were a blur of activity. Sarah worked frantically with the Vinari, their light patterns streaming faster than Dr. Patel could translate. The alien beings quickly grasped the humans' plan, their crystalline structure resonating with new patterns as they contributed their advanced understanding of quantum consciousness. Ready on your mark, Captain, Sarah reported. But this will take all our power. Once we start, we'll be completely vulnerable. Rodriguez looked at her crew, seeing the determination in their faces. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is show others the truth about themselves. Execute. The Guardians' modified quantum array activated, linking with the Vinari's crystalline technology. Together, they created a quantum mirror, reflecting back the Hunter's own energy patterns, but filtered through the lens of conscious awareness. It was a desperate gamble, forcing beings of pure energy to confront the horror of what they had become. The effect was immediate and stunning. The Void Hunters' perfect formation faltered as they received the reflected signals. Their dark forms writhed, as if in pain or confusion. Through the quantum link, Sarah could sense their turmoil. They're experiencing self-awareness, she reported, her voice filled with wonder. Many of them for the first time since their transformation. They're remembering what they once were. The Hunters' coordinated attack dissolved into chaos. Some fled immediately, their dark forms disappearing into the depths of space. Others seemed frozen, caught in the moment of recognition. A few turned their attention to the artificial gravitational trap they had created, their energy signatures changing from predatory to something almost regretful. The trap is collapsing, Morrison reported. They're destroying their own creation. Through it all, the Vinari watched in amazement as their ancient enemy was defeated not by superior weapons or technology, but by the simple act of self-reflection, a gift from a species they had initially dismissed as primitive. As the last of the Hunters dispersed, Sarah received a final quantum pulse from them. The message was simple but profound, a recognition of kinship with all conscious beings, and a warning about the price of pursuing advancement at the cost of one's fundamental nature. The immediate danger had passed, but the crew of the Guardian knew they had done more than just survive a trap. They had demonstrated one of humanity's greatest strengths, the ability to see past surface differences and connect with the consciousness within, even in their greatest enemies. The Vinari's light patterns had changed, showing what Dr. Pidal interpreted as deep respect. They had witnessed something remarkable, a species using understanding and empathy as weapons, turning a trap into an opportunity for transformation. As the Guardian systems returned to normal power levels, Captain Rodriguez stood at her command station, looking out at the now peaceful expanse of space. Send a message to Earth, she ordered. Tell them we've made first contact, and we have one hell of a story to tell. Legacy. 6 months after the encounter with the Void Hunters, the Silent Guardian's crew stood in the newly constructed Galactic assembly on Earth. The massive chamber, designed to accommodate various forms of life, hummed with energy as representatives from dozens of spacefaring civilizations gathered to discuss humanity's unexpected debut on the galactic stage. The Vinari delegation occupied a crystalline platform, their light patterns dancing with complex emotions as they addressed the assembly. Dr. Patel, now Earth's chief xenolinguistic officer, translated their testimony. Before encountering humans, we believed technological advancement was the only measure of a civilization's worth, the Vinari's patterns conveyed. We were wrong. The humans showed us that understanding consciousness itself, whether biological or energy-based, is the true mark of advancement. Sarah Chen sat beside Captain Rodriguez, watching as holographic displays showed the spreading impact of their encounter. The remaining Void Hunters, Those who had achieved self-awareness had begun reaching out to other species. They shared their cautionary tale about the dangers of pursuing transcendence without maintaining connection to one's original nature. The Galactic Survey Committee has concluded its assessment of Earth, announced a representative from one of the older spacefaring races. While humans remain technologically primitive by our standards, they have demonstrated unprecedented abilities in cross-species empathy and creative problem-solving. Rodriguez leaned towards Sarah, whispering, "Primitive, huh? Remind me to show them how we turn mining tools into weapons and whale songs into defense systems." The assembly chamber shifted as a new delegation arrived, the Reformed Hunters, as they now called themselves. Their dark forms no longer inspired terror, instead moving with a grace that spoke of hard-won wisdom. They had requested Earth's help in establishing communication with other species, recognizing humanity's unique talent for bridging gaps between different forms of consciousness. "We propose," the Galactic Council's speaker continued, "the establishment of an interstellar search and rescue protocol, with Earth as its central coordinating point. The humans have proven themselves uniquely qualified to handle crisis situations involving multiple species and consciousness types." The proposal sparked intense discussion among the assembled species. Some argued that humanity was too young, too untested. Others pointed out that no other species had ever successfully communicated with both crystalline energy beings and quantum predators in the same encounter. Chief Engineer Wang, who had been quietly working on new designs, activated a holographic display showing modifications to the Guardian's quantum array. "We've adapted our system to accommodate all known forms of consciousness signatures," she explained. "Any ship in distress, regardless of their nature, can now be detected and assisted." The Venari's lights pulsed with approval. Their own engineers had been working with Earth's teams, combining their advanced quantum technology with humanity's innovative approach to problem-solving. The result was a new class of rescue vessels, capable of responding to any type of distress call in the galaxy. "There's something poetic about this," Sarah remarked to Rodriguez. "Humanity's first step into the galactic community wasn't about proving our strength or technological prowess. It was about helping others and understanding different forms of life." "That's who we are," Rodriguez replied. "We've spent our entire history learning to adapt, to understand, to help. Now we get to do it on a cosmic scale." The assembly concluded with a historic decision. Earth would become known as the home of the Silent Guardians, protectors who could bridge the gap between different species and forms of consciousness. The name, inspired by their first contact vessel, would come to represent hope throughout the galaxy. As the delegates dispersed, Sarah received a quantum transmission from a distant sector of space, a new distress signal, not from the Venari or the Reformed Hunters, but from something entirely unknown. The pattern was unlike anything they had encountered before. Rodriguez saw Sarah's expression and smiled. "Well, Doctor, ready to make first contact again." Sarah looked at the quantum readings, remembering how this all started with a simple distress call. Now they were better prepared, more knowledgeable, but still driven by the same basic human instinct: to help those in need, regardless of their nature. "Always ready, Captain," she replied. After all, that's what Silent Guardians do. As the assembly chamber emptied, the various delegates discussing Earth's new role in galactic affairs, the human representatives felt a profound sense of purpose. They had found their place in the cosmic community, not through dominance or technological superiority, but through their ability to understand, adapt, and protect. The Silent Guardian would soon embark on another mission, carrying with it humanity's greatest strengths: curiosity, empathy, and the unwavering desire to help others. In a galaxy full of different forms of consciousness and existence, humans had become the bridge builders, the peacekeepers, the guardians of all who needed help. It wasn't the role anyone had expected humanity to play in galactic affairs, but it was the one they were uniquely suited for. As Earth's first generation of Silent Guardians prepared for their next mission, they carried with them the knowledge that sometimes the greatest power isn't in transcending what you are, but in helping others while remaining true to yourself. The battle for survival was about to begin, and with it, humanity's true introduction to the galactic community. Not as conquerors or victims, but as protectors, standing against the darkness not because they were strongest, but because it was right.